a new book documenting the legacy of Irish Americans in Western Massachusetts is available. Sister of St. Joseph Judith Kappenman, whose retirement from the Irish Cultural Center we reported on earlier in today's show, is the co-editor of this book, which includes history and personal stories from different writers. The book was released by the Springfield Republican newspapers. Carolee McGrath has the story.
They came to America in search of a better life and opportunities for their children. They left their families and everything they knew to take a risk in a land far from home. And a new book documents the courageous stories of Irish immigrants who, through hard work and sacrifice, found the American dream in Western Massachusetts.
I think they came with the attitude that they were not going to be oppressed again. I think they have a very good sense of justice, wanting justice and then standing up for justice to others. I think the fact that many educated priests came from Ireland to help them establish their churches and their schools and the women religious as well.
Ann Gerard Flynn, the lifestyle editor of the Springfield-based Republican newspaper, is the co-editor of The Irish Legacy, A History of the Irish in Western Massachusetts. Sister of St. Joseph Judith Kappenman, the executive director of the Irish Cultural Center at the Elms, is also the co-editor of the book.
We invited different writers. Anne had the program set, which articles she wanted to include. We found, the two of us matched writers with the subjects, like the police, the fire, the nuns, the history, the Elms College.
The book documents when the first Irish immigrants came to Western Massachusetts, the history of the church, and the peace process in Ireland. It also has stories about the different Irish societies, including the John Boyle O'Reilly Club in Springfield, the St. Patrick's Parade in Holyoke, and reflections from local families.
One reason, too, to start with the Irish is that to document them coming here during the famine, during the 1845, 1850s, a big wave that came over and what they faced. But then in 1998, we had the peace accord which Congressman Richard Neal worked on, where they finally established on both sides of the border, they voted for peace and for a government in Northern Ireland. But the reason for many of the people coming, the oppression and being evicted from their land, now that violence to a large extent has been put to rest.
Sister Kappenman described how the church was a very important part of the Irish experience.
When the first Irish immigrants came, many of them were Catholic, and their most important thing to cling to was their faith. And so Tom Moriarty writes about the Irish here in Chicopee, who built the Chicopee Canal, and then the Holy Name Church was built, and that was the first church in Western Massachusetts.
92-year-old Michael Carney is also featured in the book. He came from Blasket Island and raised 4 children in the Hungry Hill section of Springfield.
I worked in Dublin for 11 years, came to this country in 1948, and got involved in Gaelic activities. I never lost my heritage, my ideals, my culture.
This book is the first in a series to be released by the Republican about the history of the different ethnic groups in Western Mass. Wayne Faniff is the executive director of the Republican.
Early next year, we're going to have a book called Struggle for Freedom, which is on the African American community in Springfield. And of course, this is January 1st is the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. So that kind of makes this a huge year. And then after that, we're going to have a book on the Civil War. That's going to be the first 2 years of the Civil War. Then we're going to have a book on the Jewish community of Western Massachusetts.
The newspaper will also release books on Latino, Italian, Polish, and French-Canadian ethnic groups in Western Massachusetts. Do you think it's important for young people today to understand the Irish culture?
Oh yes, I most certainly do. Regardless who they are, whether they're Irish or any other nationality. If they don't retain their heritage and their culture, they might as well not retain themselves.
And now there's a beautiful book to share the exciting story of Irish Americans of Western Massachusetts. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And the book can be purchased at the Republican newspaper, 1860 Main Street in Springfield, or online at barnesandnoble.com.